Hello and welcome back to Matt A's Tottenham blog and to the first transfer talk video of the new transfer window. The window's been open for almost a week now, and as always the Tottenham rumours are rumbling on, and one of the big ones that we've been hearing about since last summer is Max Aarons from Norwich. So today I'm going to be going through everything you need to know about the player and summing up the latest rumours and kind of trying to decide if I do think he will be joining Tottenham in this window. Now before I get started, if you want more transfer videos like this, plus match previews, reviews and breaking news videos, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below and click the notification bell so you get notified whenever I upload or go live. So to dive straight into things, we've all heard these rumours about Max Aarons by now. He was a name that was thrown around a bit in the summer. He wasn't taken too seriously back then because there were more serious targets Tottenham were supposedly looking at. But as we enter this transfer window now, it seems as though the other targets have been abandoned and Max Aarons is the main right back that we are looking at. Now there are still another couple of names being thrown around, mainly Nordi Mukiele from RB Leipzig, but it does seem as though Aarons is the number one target for Tottenham and Jose Mourinho in this window. It's no secret that right back is one of our weakest positions. Serge Aurier hasn't lived up to the expectations. Kyle Walker-Peters has failed to impress the two managers that have been in charge this season, and Juan Foyth just doesn't seem to be an option for Mourinho in that right back role. So it's no surprise that they have identified that as a problem position and one that needs to be improved. Now Max Aarons at the moment is a right back from Norwich City. He just turned 20 earlier this month. And he's been a mainstay in their team for quite a bit now. He kind of broke into their team in the Championship last season, and once he got into that first team, he wasn't out of it. He's been an outstanding, consistent performer for them. He was in the EFL Team of the Season for last year, and he also won the EFL Championship Young Player of the Year award. So he's definitely someone that was highly regarded throughout the duration of last season, and he's continued to impress this season. He started 19 of Norwich's 21 games this season. Now, throughout his entire career, he's made 63 professional appearances. His end product as a right back, you wouldn't expect any really high return on that in that regard, but he scored 2 goals and only got 6 assists. Now that is one of the biggest weaknesses in his game, and it is something I'll be getting onto a bit later in the video. But Transfermarkt.com, who are very respected, I suppose, in this area of looking at player stats and all that and putting valuations on them, and they value Max Aarons at about £13.5 million. Now the latest reports, mainly coming from Sky Sports, is that Norwich actually value him at a bit higher than that, at £30 million, but I'm sure there are a number of factors that would back up their decision to value him at that, with the fact that he is still quite young and he only recently signed a new contract. Then he has 4.5 years left on that. Now, as for how he's been performing this season, WhoScored.com, who are one of the most respected, I suppose, in terms of analysing player stats in the Premier League and things like that, they've given him an average match rating of 6.5, which for a team who are one of the most likely to be going down this season in Norwich, and a defender for a team who have been conceding quite a few goals, it's a really respectable rating, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is a lot higher than what Serge Aurier has managed for Tottenham this season. Now, as for the player that he is predominantly a right back. He's made a number of appearances at left back, but right back is definitely his main position. As a right-footed player, you would expect that. Now, his style of play is certainly something that there's 3 things that WhoScored.com outline as his main style of play, and they're definitely things that Tottenham would be looking for in a right back. The first thing is that he likes to dribble, and with the attacking fullbacks that I know it's used quite a bit for every team in world football, but Tottenham are a team who heavily depend on their fullbacks and their attacking capabilities. He does like to dribble with the ball. He likes to carry it forward. In terms of Tottenham's play, I suppose that the fans want to see a bit more of, rather than something that has been happening on the pitch this season. He likes to play short passes. He likes to keep possession. And he's not going to be that player who's going to try and play 40, 50, 60 yard passes when he's not able. We do have players in our team who can do that, mainly Toby Alderweireld, but Max Aarons likes to keep things simple, likes to play it short. And one of the main things that will make me realise he is an improvement on Serge Aurier is that he does not dive into tackles. Now, of course, you can argue that could be a bad thing, because sometimes you do need to dive into a tackle. You need to just stop a player whenever it is required. But Serge Aurier is someone who he's really rash, and he dives into challenges a lot, and he's gotten himself in trouble. He's gotten himself sent off. He's given away penalties and things like that. Now, as for Max Aarons, he averages about 1.3 tackles per game with a 72% success rate, which is a bit better than what we do see from Serge Aurier. And he's never been sent off in his career. Only picked up 5 yellow cards this season. He's certainly nowhere near as rash as Serge Aurier, and would definitely be an improvement on that side of things. Now, the strengths of his game that have been identified again during this season, one where Norwich have really struggled, and you'd expect a player as young as him and in a very vulnerable defensive position, given how much their defence does have to do. It's certainly admirable that so many strengths of his game have been identified. Dribbling is one of them. Holding onto the ball, passing, key passes, blocking the ball, and concentration are all things that Who Scored have said he is particularly good at. Now, moving on to his weaknesses, and one that will definitely be a concern for Tottenham, maybe not in identifying him as a transfer target, but potentially signing him. This is something that will definitely need to be improved. His main weakness is crossing. Now, as I said, he's only had 6 assists in his 63 appearances for Norwich. None this season at all, but you would expect if he did have a lot of assists, they would have come last season in the Championship, which with Norwich obviously finishing so high in the table. They would have scored a lot of goals throughout that season, but he wasn't someone who was contributing to that a lot. He averages about 0.4 accurate crosses per game, which, it isn't a very high number, but it's made a bit more concerning when you hear that he's made 1.4 inaccurate crosses per game. So it's not that he's not attempting them, it's just that when he does, they don't seem to come off. Now, you could look at that in that he's, the main player in the box, and this is Teemu Pukki, and he's not the tallest player in the world, but it would definitely be a concern for Tottenham if we did have a right back that couldn't cross the ball. That was one of the main problems we had with Kyle Walker in his early time in the starting 11, but that was quickly fixed and he became one of the best fullbacks in the league for us. Kieran Trippier, even when he was underperforming defensively, he always had that ability to pick out some really impressive crosses. He was on our set pieces for quite a while, and Serge Aurier, as poor as he is defensively, when he does play in these attacking positions, when he does play in almost that right wing position that Mourinho does like to put him in, he's well able to pick out a cross, and it's probably the only reason that he is still in our team. So that's a concerning one for Max Aarons, but hopefully that would be something that's addressed. And we do have to remember, even talking about that he is only 20 years of age, and there's plenty of room for improvement there. And as soon as he steps up into a big team like Tottenham, if he does, that'll definitely be something that'll be addressed quickly. And when there is players like Harry Kane in the box and Dele Alli making these late runs, there's going to be more options for him in the box, and hopefully those stats will kind of naturally improve. But for now, it is definitely a concern. The other weakness they have identified is aerial duels, which isn't the most concerning thing in the world for a right back. Moving on to the rumours about the player and his potential move to Tottenham, the main one is coming from Sky Sports, who I know a lot of people don't agree, but in my opinion are their most reliable source when it does come to transfers, especially with Tottenham. Now, Sky Sports are reporting that Tottenham have a serious interest in the player. Nordi Mukiele, as I mentioned, is also an option, but Max Aarons does seem to be the main target. The Sky Sports are claiming Norwich want £30 million for the player, but they've said any reports suggesting that Norwich actually want up to £45 million are completely fabricated, and 30 million is where they're kind of looking at for the player. The Norwich manager Daniel Farke has said he does want to keep him, which is completely unsurprising. He is, one of their most consistent starters, one of the most consistent performers. He said he does want to keep him, but if they did receive what he called an unbelievable offer, they would have to consider it, and that's no surprise given the fact that they're not the biggest club financially. They don't have the most exceptional backing. They only spent 1.1 million in the last transfer window, so an offer of, as the reports are suggesting, about £30 million may be too good for them to turn down. The only sort of negative news coming out about this and him potentially not making a move, there are a number of sources, mainly the tabloids, but there are a few potentially reliable ones in there, claiming that it's becoming increasingly unlikely that he will not be leaving Norwich, or it's becoming increasingly unlikely that he will leave Norwich this summer, this window, and any move away from the club would have to see him return to Norwich for a 6-month loan until the end of the season. And again, that's not surprising. They're in a relegation battle and they need to keep the best players that they can. But if they do get an incredible offer, it'll be hard to turn down. And for them, I suppose it's the best of both worlds, managing to get in a big transfer fee, but also keeping a really good player to try and keep him in the Premier League until the end of the season. And the main concern Tottenham fans are having with this is that they don't expect a team like Norwich to sell a player like Aarons when they are in the situation that they're in. It usually is the case when you see these, I wouldn't say small teams, but teams getting promoted into the Premier League, and they do have some really good players. They keep them for the season, and then when they go back down, the players tend to move on then. And that could be the case for Norwich, and not even just with Max Aarons. You're looking at players like Teemu Pukki and Todd Cantwell, who's another player that I would love to see come to Tottenham, but there's nothing about that just yet. I can't imagine they would be at Norwich for much longer, and hopefully this is a deal that we can get done this window, because we're just not good enough in the right back position, and it's something that should have been addressed last summer when we sold Kieran Trippier, and whether or not it was Daniel Levy not wanting to invest in that position or Pochettino actually thinking that we were okay there, whatever it was, it's something that should have been addressed and it wasn't. And we've already paid for the price for this season. We've had to play Moussa Sissoko and right back at some times, and while he was decent enough there, he's not a right back, and it's not an option that we want to have to take. But look, time will only tell on this transfer. The odds for this one happening have been all over the place the last couple of days. They're jumping up and down. I suppose it's just with every different report that's coming out, the mood kind of changes with it. But I think this is one that could get done this window. I wouldn't be overly excited about it just yet. Even if it is going to go through, there's a lot of work that'll have to be done, not only in convincing Norwich to sell the player, but in trying to get him to Tottenham now, because ideally, if we were going to get him, we get him straight into the first team and not have to loan him back. But that is something that we may have to do, and there's, it's obviously a shorter window than the summer window, and there will have to be a lot of work done behind the scenes to get this one completed. But I'd be absolutely delighted if we can get that done. Don't forget to leave down in the comments below your opinion on this transfer and the player, and if it is one you'd like to see done. And if you want me to do any videos like this on any other player, just leave them down in the comments below, and I'll go through them and get as many done as I can. If you do want more videos like this, plus my Transfer Talk live streams, please don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.